Welcome. This is the second in our series of mini lectures. This one's about ICT and learning. There are lots of claims about how ICT can improve learning. However, as I talked about briefly in the introductory lecture, the evidence about the impact that ICT has on learning is reasonably inconclusive. There are lots of small-scale studies that show positive relationships between using technology and improving student learning, but there are many others that say there's actually no effect of technology on student learning. Part of the problem with this whole issue, though, is what do we mean when we say improve learning? Do we mean that our students perform better on their tests if they use ICT? And does that apply to all subjects, or does it just apply to some? Does it mean that students learn faster so we cover everything in the curriculum a lot more quickly? Or does it mean that students learn more and more deeply about the things that they're learning? And what does learning more mean? So here's the big question. What is the relationship between learning and the use of technology? And importantly, because you're about to be teachers, what sort of teaching approaches make the most of technology in the classroom? In this lecture, we're going to look at the connections between technology and learning theories, most of which I hope you'll already be familiar. So just try to see how technology and learning theories fit together. And in the next couple of lectures, we'll talk about the teaching approaches that make the most of technology. I strongly recommend that you do the readings for this section particularly because it is quite theoretical. Much of this lecture is based on Neil Selwyn's chapter 4 in his book, so I really urge you to engage with those ideas and discuss and raise questions in the online discussion forum on our website. Let's start with ICT and how it fits with different theories of learning. We'll start with our old chestnut, behaviourist theories of learning, one of my least favourite ways of learning and teaching. In behaviourist theories of learning, think of Skinner and his pigeons, Pavlov and his dog, and somebody or other and his rats. Anyway, in these theories, the learner is a relatively passive recipient of the learning experience. So behaviourism is based on ideas of immediate feedback on the correctness of the learner's response to reinforce the desired behaviour or to discourage the unwanted behaviour. It's also characterised by a step-by-step approach and lots of practice, repetition. Early forms of computer-aided instruction were heavily based on behaviourist principles, and we still see a lot of behaviourism embedded in a lot of the drill and practice software, particularly in maths, including some aspects of that really popular program, Mathletics. In cognitivist theories of learning, learning is seen as an internal process of mental action, where the brain stores representations of knowledge into things called schema. So it's a little bit like a computer or an information processing model of learning. Schema, the ways we represent our understanding, can be joined together or extended or altered to accommodate new information. These theories of learning gave rise to intelligent learning environments that diagnose where a learner is at and provides feedback. Think of adaptive testing. So when you're in a computer program, you tick the answer. If it's the right answer, the program judges where you're at to and takes you to the next level. If it's the wrong answer, it might drop you back a level. And it will do that all the way through. Think also of first-person shooter games that you may or may not have played or may still play. The players follow different pathways through the game depending upon their success at various points in the game, whether they pick up the weapons or don't have the weapons, whether they shoot the monster or don't shoot the monster. So that's another example. I want to turn now to some of the theories of learning that are based on a more constructivist thinking or paradigm. Under a constructivist learning theory, learning takes place when you build on a learner's prior experience and knowledge. So learning is really grounded in processes of exploration and discovery, of inquiry, of interpretation rather than facts, and of meaning making. And I can't stress enough how important it is to think about learning as how we make meaning, how we come to understand the world around us. In constructivist theories of learning, learning is a far more active process than in the information processing model or than in behaviourism. Technology is seen as a really key means of facilitating a learner's exploration. Just think of the internet. It also is seen as a way of helping students to construct their knowledge. And in the next mini lecture, I'll show you some examples of how that might be facilitated by technology. ICT also provides a really important medium for the learner to represent what meaning they have made, thinking back to the idea of meaning making. So think of all the ways that we can use technology to represent what we as learners understand about a particular topic or concept. PowerPoint presentations, videos, digital stories, things like that. I want to talk to you about a side shoot of constructivism called constructionist theories. And this was brought to light by Seymour Papert, who actually used to work with Jean Piaget, who was considered to be the forefather of constructivist learning. And he extended that notion of constructivism in a term he coined constructionism. Papert believed that we learn best when we are engaged not in just discovery and inquiry, but in the making or the constructing of an object, be it real or virtual, as long as when we've made this object, it performs some sort of function. Often, when we try to make something that we think should work a certain way, it won't work. We learn then from trying to work out why it doesn't work. Where did we go wrong? How do we debug what we did, to borrow from a technology term? You might remember in school using a program called Logo or even Microworlds. A more current piece of software that embodies the same principles is called Scratch. It's free to download, so I urge you all to go and play with it. It's developed at MIT, where Papert used to work, by Mitch Resnick, who used to work with Seymour Papert. Constructivist and constructionist theories are the beginnings of learner-centred theories of learning, but both tend to continue the emphasis that all the theories we have looked at share the emphasis that all the theories we looked at so far, and that is that they emphasise learning as an individual or a solitary phenomenon. The next set of theories take a slightly different view. Sociocultural theories of learning started with Lev Vygotsky, a name I'm sure you've heard before, who saw cognitive development or learning as inextricably linked to language. Therefore, interacting with other people using language was a key foundation to support learning. He also argued that less able learners are more likely to reach a shared meaning with the more able learners in their social environment. And that, as I'm sure you've picked up, is the basis for his zone of proximal development, which I'm sure you all know about by now, and if you don't, then you need to do some more reading. So where does technology fit into sociocultural theories of learning? Let me count the ways. Digital technologies, particularly Web 2 technologies, which is the focus of our course this semester, and Web 2 technologies are Web 2 technologies regardless of whether they're delivered on a tablet or on a computer. It's the application, not the hardware, that's important. Digital technologies provide learners with enhanced access to sources of knowledge and expertise outside their immediate environments. There's a much bigger pool of more able learners to learn from. They also help develop a shared meaning through interacting with others via Web 2 technologies. Think about wikis and blogs and a whole stack of applications that you're about to teach each other this semester. So lots of online collaborative workspaces help you to develop that shared meaning. Are you making the connection to your own use of wikis this semester? Situated learning theory takes ideas developed by Vygotsky to a higher level. It's not just language that influences our learning, but the social and cultural context in which we learn. How did you learn to ride a bike or play on the swings? Often through a more able person, a parent, who showed you how and talked you through the process. You imitated them until it clicked into your head and in your body. How do apprentices learn their trade? By imitating the practices of the old hands, the masters. They follow the way things are done around here, and not just through language, but through how to act, how to behave, how to talk, how to catch a train. How do other people do things around here? So much of our learning is done tacitly through this mode rather than explicitly, through adopting the ways of the community that we belong to, or the communities. Web 2 technology enables us to belong to multiple communities online. Digital technologies now provide opportunities for us to learn outside of school so much more than ever before. So there you have a cook's tour of some current learning theories and how ICT might fit with them. Think about your own teaching and learning philosophies. Which of these theories fit with you best? Are there other theories that you might consider in your own teaching philosophy? And how might ICT fit with these other theories? In our next little lecture, I want to look at best practice use of ICT and challenge you to think about where else ICT might take learning and teaching.